So running your business like a pro. What I'd like to talk to you about is a methodology for developing yourself and your business in a way that you can grow and develop it, which is a challenge for a lot of small businesses. I'd like to start first with a quick story about a very successful business person who was asked about the secret to her success. She said the secret to her success is making good decisions. Making good decisions is key. So then they asked, well, that's great and all, but how do you make good decisions? How do you know how to make good decisions? And she said, well, by making bad decisions and learning from them. So, one of the keys as an entrepreneur and a business owner is you have to try things. Not everything is going to work, but if you are doing that, then basically what you're doing is you are on the path to becoming a great business person. So just keep going, and you'll see good things happen. So running your business like a pro is really about learning how to make these better decisions. It's looking at how to increase your knowledge base and also how to use quantitative information in your decision making rather than just using qualitative things. If you think about yourself as a business owner, when you make decisions, how often do you actually tie numbers to how you're making the decision, as opposed to, not having that rigor in what you're doing? And sometimes the numbers will actually tell you different things than what you actually think in terms of how you would make the decision. So, one of the keys is developing a comfort level with the key information that you can derive about your business so you can make these better decisions. Then you'll be incorporating facts and assumptions into your decision-making process. Before we go further, I just want to thank you and appreciate you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to be here at the Power Breakfast today. I'm excited to be the featured guest speaker. This is my first time in 6 years, but I guess it was about time, and definitely have a message to share that I think can be valuable to everyone here. Many of you I have connections with different ways. Some of you just know you from the Power Breakfast, but others, through coaching, through teaching, through many different ways. It's great developing relationships, building relationships, but since I'm connecting with people a lot of different ways, sometimes you may wonder, well, what does he really do? And, what drives him, what's important, and why does he do it? And really one of the keys is I enjoy working with business owners, seeing them develop, progress, and really try to make a difference in the urban communities. And I've had an opportunity to do a lot of great things and be involved here in Newark, and it's exciting here because there's so much going on and so much business opportunity, and being involved with businesses here and helping them not just survive but thrive in this community with the opportunity. So that's really my goal and what I'm all about. So now, through this process of running your business like a pro, where does it come from? Over the past few years, I've worked with over 250 different entrepreneurs, business owners, and organization leaders, and find some of the same things that are challenges for them. So by doing that, it's allowed me to really come together and get some best practices and some methodologies that can be helpful to anyone who's doing business. As you may know, there's really three drivers of why someone might go into business. You might go into business for personal reasons, you might go into business for professional reasons, or you might go into business for financial reasons. Personal might be for getting freedom, flexibility, and stability. How many of you went into business for those reasons? Okay, great. For professional, sometimes you're looking for that dream job, self-actualization, or just making a difference. So as a professional, how many people that's a piece of why they're an entrepreneur? Excellent, excellent. And then, of course, it's business, so you probably have some financial reasons too. So that may be making money, building wealth, and success, and hopefully everybody would raise their hand on that one. So, while that is the case, one of the challenges is most small business owners, they're in business, but they have not achieved the vision that they expected when they went into business. So that's always a challenge. And not only that, many times they get to a point where they can't even see a path to get there. So one of the keys is, how do you connect that and help them see a path and understand a path? And that's part of what my methodology is about, using information to be able to do that. So rather than them getting stuck in a rut and not being able to move their organization to the next level, they'll know what to do, have a plan, and move forward. So how many of you have ever been in that position where you're not sure what to do and you're not sure if anything will work? How many of you? Okay. Yes, pretty much any entrepreneur is going to run into something like that. And what I'd like to do is spend the next 20 minutes or so just exploring strategies so how you can address this challenge. Is that okay with you? Is that something? Okay, excellent. So I do welcome your input, and I'd like to have contributions from people. So what I'd like to do is, there's blue pieces of paper on each table, and those are for notes, and if you want to grab one, and there's two things I would like you to write on it. Number one, at the top, if you can write questions. And then at the middle of the page, if you could write key takeaways, so that as we're going through it, you're able to have questions. And I'm going to give you about 60 seconds if you have any questions now and want to write them down. And then as we go through, I'll take the questions as we go so that I can make sure that we address that or cover that as we're going through the talk. So really my goal is to make this as valuable of an experience as possible for you. And hopefully you're willing to assist, because there's a lot of value and knowledge and experience in the room, and we can all support each other and provide value and information and opportunities for each other as well. So, as we go along, please write down any ideas, but does anyone have anything that you would like me to touch on as we're going through the presentation? Okay, yes, sir.
How do you move from a high-level strategic plan to
Okay.
what you need to do every day?
Okay, all right, good. Definitely, yes.
I think I would like you to touch on what Yanni spoke about, time management.
Okay, excellent. Yes.
Time management, how do you handle time management?
Okay. Yes, sir.
How do you know when it's time to take your business to the next phase?
Okay. Yes, sir.
What's a smart plan?
Okay, so what's a smart plan? Okay.
As a new business owner, what absolutely must I have in place in order to go forward and succeed?
Okay. Great questions. And yes, sir.
With a diverse workforce.
Okay. Perfect. Okay, well, definitely great input. As we go through, I'll try and touch on those, and towards the end, if I haven't covered it sufficiently, feel free to ask questions. Okay, so when you're an entrepreneur, there's really a certain journey that mostly all entrepreneurs go through, and especially if you're going to take your business to the next level, this is really how it works. Initially, you start your business, you're developing your product, you're developing your service so that you can make sure that there's a market for it. But that's the first stage. That's the stage where you're working in the business. So working in the business, you're spending a lot of time in the business. You can't, the business isn't there if you're not there. So if you go away, if you even can go away for a week without closing your business, you're losing income and losing revenue because it's not going to run as well as it would if you were there. So that's really working on your business. You're focused on products and service deliveries. But to take it to the next level and to really move forward, you really have to be working on your business. So once you got your product and service delivery in a pretty decent shape, you got to figure out how to work on your business. Now, what does that mean? Really, the key is optimizing your business model. So, I'm going to talk about that because that's really where the numbers and the quantitative piece comes in, where you can actually get the information to make better decisions, to run your business better. One of the challenges is, figuring out how to do that. How many of you know what your business model is, or knows what a business model is? Okay, all right, and how many of you aren't sure? Okay, and that's fine, because I'd say at least 50% of the people that I work with do not really know what their business model is. And that's just the development process. You're starting with your product, moving forward to your business model, so you're managing your business rather than the operations in your business. And then finally, once you move forward from there, you're working on the future of your business. Where is your business going to go? How do you expand your market into a lot of new customers? And that's really the high growth phase of any business. So you're really setting up your business, you're optimizing it, and then you're growing it. And unfortunately, a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners, especially small business owners, never make it past here. So why is that? And part of it is an education and knowledge gap, but also part of it is not having high enough goals and expectations for what they're trying to do. So, what I'm going to focus on is going from working in your business to working on your business, and talk about what that means, how you do it, and what it looks like. So just a couple thoughts on when you're working in your business, because you are your business. If you want to ever sell, you don't really have any value to sell. So as a business owner, I've worked with several people who've been in their business a long time and are ready to retire. And one was planning to sell his business for over $500,000, but at the end of the day, it really was worth less than $100,000. So by moving from different phases, that's how you create value for your business. When you're working on your business, with your business model, you're helping to make it more profitable. And what that looks like is, in your business, you have to be there. On your business, you don't have to be there all the time for it to work right. So you have to have a supervisor or a manager in place that can run your operations in your business, so you're not tied up doing that, and you can focus on growing your business, optimizing your business, make it run better. So that's a piece of the growth strategy. And if you don't get to that point, you're never going to be able to grow. So now I'm just going to focus on these two. So let's take a look at the next stage. Okay? A lot of times small business owners don't have a growth mindset, thinking about growing their business rather than maintaining your business. But if you're not growing, you're shrinking and dying. So as a small business and as a business, you have to focus on growing, and growth is in many areas. Probably the biggest area is growth in knowledge and understanding of business, because you're the leader of your business, and nobody's going to do more work or do more for it than you are, as Miani mentioned. So you have to be prepared and knowledgeable and capable to do what is needed to do to grow your business. The other piece is, so you're doing that through personal development, you're doing that through professional development, And then you have to have organizational growth goals, growing your revenues, growing your profitability, growing your capacity, and growing the value of your business. So if you don't have goals to do that, increasing every year, that's something that you want to put on the plate, because to keep your business sustainable and viable, you have to grow, because that creates opportunities for your employees, it creates for their growth, for their development, it creates opportunities for you and your growth and development, and really gives you the opportunity to move forward in many different ways of, creating the business that you desire to have. So how do we do this? And what I've developed and over time is really a methodology called the AARI Methodology. And the first piece is assessment. Figure out where you are. If you don't know where you are, you can't figure out how to get where you want to go. So figuring out exactly where you are. A lot of times as an entrepreneur, you can't really do that yourself because you're biased, and having someone help walk you through that process, they're going to see some things and ask some questions that you might not ask yourself. So first, getting the assessment of where you are and also of your goals and vision for the business. Because, number one, you want to have the right types of goals to grow the way you want, and a lot of times businesses may or may not have that. So in the assessment phase, really go through, find out information, find out where you are, find out where you'd like to be, and then from there you go to the analysis phase. You've got information, you know where you want to go, but how do you do that? And what does where you are mean? So the analysis phase, you are looking at your business model a lot, and you're also looking at, what is your plan to growth, and putting together a plan based on where you are, based on where you want to go, and quantitatively as well as qualitatively. So, that's one of the keys. From there, we go to recommendations. Based on what we're seeing, how do we do it? What's the first step? Because you can't do everything at once, so you have to pick the right things to move forward on, and have small wins, but have milestones of where you want to go and what you want to do. And then finally, implementation. Once you've gone through that process, then you can start implementing some of the recommendations and the key pieces of what you're doing. And you do that, it's actually an iterative process, because you continue to move forward, you continue to learn things, you continue to develop. Now your business is a little bit further along, so now you have to look at where you are, what you've learned, assess that, analyze it, figure out what are your next steps, and then continue to implement that. But you can't do that if you don't have information, you don't have numbers, you don't have feedback from your customers. So that's really what the AARI methodology is. And today I'm just going to focus on the assessment piece, because that's where you start, and that's the most important piece. And looking at sort of how I approach that, when you're looking at it. So, one of the first things I do is try to piece together your business model. So we talked about what is a business model. It's a simplified P&L. So you're looking at your profit and loss statement, basic revenues minus your variable expenses. And variable expenses can be challenging for a lot of people because it's not necessarily intuitive how it works, but it's basically the expense, any expense that's going to increase every time you have an additional dollar of sales. So those vary directly with sales, but that's different than expenses that are different month to month, like your utilities or whatever, because you don't get any extra sales for paying your utilities. So then that's actually going to be a fixed expense. From there, you figure out your gross profit and subtract out your fixed expenses, and that's going to give you your cash flow. How much money are you making? It's important to know that. I talk to a lot of business owners, and they're not really sure. Sometimes one of the first questions I ask is, how much did you sell last week? How much did you sell last month? How much did you sell last quarter? How much did you sell last year? And many business owners can't really answer that, even as an estimate. So, that's one of the first places to start is, where am I? And, and using that information to help make decisions. Once you have the revenues and the variable expenses, since it's a direct relationship, you can actually figure out, well, for every dollar of sales, how much becomes your gross profit. So you're going to get your gross margin. So, different businesses have different margins, but if you take a retail business, generally, if they're selling something for $10, then they're buying it for $5. So, you've got 10 here, 5 here, so your gross profit is going to be 50%. So every dollar you sell, you're going to bring in about 50% on it. So by knowing that, you can model, the money that you're going to come in based on your level of sales, and then you can use that to figure out how much you need to sell to cover your fixed expenses and make the profit that you want to make. So by having these numbers and projecting it, you can set targets that are actually going to get you to your goal, rather than not having a goal, but not really knowing what you need to do to get to the goal. So by understanding your business model, that's helpful. And from there, you just go into a lot more detail. Basically, this is business. This is what business is. So then you look at your revenues. Well, how can you grow them? How can you shrink your variable expenses? You got your fixed expenses. How can you impact those? And each of those impacts things. So you may increase your marketing budget. So if you increase your marketing budget, you're adding to your fixed expenses, but you don't want to do that unless you're doing that so that you can increase your revenues. So you need to know how much you need to increase your revenues to offset what you're spending on the marketing so that you can make sure that you are actually getting the benefit that you need. So looking at each line in more and more detail, putting together your budget, putting together your goals, and then you know what you're driving at, and you understand your business. Another key piece of that is I come and end up working with a lot of people because they're seeking financing. So, you want to get a loan, you want to get financed, and you're looking at the bank, how do I get a loan? But, one of the first things you need to think about is, as a bank, if you're at level 1 and you just understand your product and your service, you don't necessarily understand how your business works. So if you're asking a bank for money, they're going to want to know if you know how your business works. But if you don't understand your business model, you sort of don't really understand how your business works. And then they're looking to see, well, they're going to loan you some money. How much do you think it's going to increase your revenues? Can you afford to pay it back? And, so understanding that is key to being able to run your business, get financing, and move to the next level. And, one of the key things that I run into is pricing. Pricing's an art more than a science, and there's different pricing strategies. But one of the important things is a lot of small and medium-sized businesses, they underprice. You don't take into account things. You might price based on what other people are charging, but if your expenses are higher than what the other people are charging, then you're not going to be able to compete with them sustainably over the long term. So you have to think about how are you going to price relative to the market, and will the market bear what you have to charge to be able to be profitable? So, when you're thinking about pricing, there's a lot of things that can go into it, but, one of the things you want to look at is, okay, how is your pricing and margin relative to others in the industry? Are they getting better costs than you, so they can charge less? And how do you do that? And then the other thing that's critical is a lot of times you're in your business, you're working in your business or your service, and when you do that, you don't think about how much you should be making. So if you're pricing in a way that you can't pay yourself a market rate, or you can't bring someone in to make a market rate, and then you need to make profit above that because it's your business and you own it, then your business model is not sustainable because you can't grow. You can't bring people in to work because you can't afford it. So then you're really, own a job as opposed to a business. And so that's another piece that you have to put together before you can actually grow. We talked about a few things and had some great questions. One of the things was on time management. And as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, you never have enough time, never. But what you have to do is work with the time you have and make sure that you are doing the most important and valuable things with your time. So what is the most important thing that an entrepreneur or business owner can do, should be doing? Anyone? Okay. Selling and marketing. Because if you're not bringing in money, then you're not making any money. As the business owner, you need, one of your key goals needs to be sales and marketing. That's why, Miani's done a great job of moving from, initially the school was her, to bringing in some employees, to come into this year actually having more employees, having a supervisor, being able to not even have to come in to the office and working from home 2 days a week so she could get more work done, and also be able to put in 2 hours a day, at least 2 hours a day of marketing and getting new students so she can grow the business. So, your time management, you have to figure out how you can delegate, how you can grow your business. And until you do that, until your numbers add up so that you can grow your business, because you're charging the right amount and your expenses are within reason, you're not going to be able to go to level one from working in your business to working on your business. And then you're not going to create the value. You're not going to be able to take a vacation. And you may not be able to retire. So, one of the key things is learning how to do that. Everyone in here can do that, but the key is building your knowledge, putting together a good plan, and doing the right things in the right order. And, so what do you do? Basically, every day you should put to work what you're using. Hopefully you've heard some things that you might want to think about, employ, learn about, because, what you do today, every day beyond that, improves your business. I've worked with some businesses, and if you're putting off your growth strategy, then as a result, every day you put it off, you're actually losing money. So if you think about it like that, then you're not really going to, then you have more incentive to move forward, because every day once you get to that next level, you're going to make that amount of money going forward. So it's key to not procrastinate and move forward quickly. I'm putting together a book on running your business like a pro, and really going into what do you do to really analyze your business. What do you, based on that, how are you, or how are you assessing it? Based on that, how might you analyze it? And then what is that telling you as far as recommendations? We're going to continue to do the quarterly power breakfasts. We've had great speakers, workshop presenters. John Webb here has actually presented done a great job, and he's doing some great things. I appreciate him coming out to support today. You know, looking at doing a business modeling workshop in the fall, because, you know, definitely knowing what a business model is, sometimes you need help building it. You know, where, you know, it'll be a half day where you'll bring your laptop and actually you'll build your own business model and work on tweaking it during the workshop. And then late in the fall, one of our previous Power Breakfast speakers is going to actually come up and do a 3-day training seminar. I don't know if you remember Dennis Strong, who came up from Barbados, but he, you know, is an expert on business transformation, and you know, definitely that's going to be available for a small group of people if you're interested. And then, you know, I continue to do coaching and counseling for Rising Tide Capital and for the Small Business Development Corp. And those are great organizations to connect with through your process. So, in closing, hopefully you've heard something valuable, something new, something you may want to learn more about. And hopefully I answered most of the questions. I think there was one about multicultural, which is key and important in this day and age. And, you know, one of the levels is marketing and sales. So some of the key things you think about in marketing and sales is, who is your real target market? What's the definition of a target market? What am I talking about when you talk about a target market? Okay, people you want to be your customers. Okay. Okay, so the people most likely to buy from you. So that's the people you want to spend time and effort to market to, right? Because if they're most likely to buy, it doesn't cost you as much, you don't need to spend as much time. And that doesn't necessarily mean your current customers. Some of your current customers, you know, of course you let them buy from you, but they may not be the customers you really want to spend your time and effort on, especially if you have a limited marketing budget. So, you know, that's one of the keys. And you look at demographics. You know, you're looking at demographics in terms of, you know, where do they live, income bracket, ethnicity, you know, a lot of different, do they have kids? Are they single? Are they married? All that analysis and thought needs to go into your marketing strategy and your marketing plans, rather than a lot of businesses sort of say, I'm going to go on the internet. You know, you need to know a lot more detail of who you're trying to reach and how you're trying to reach them. So, okay, so hopefully you've learned something useful and you can take that away and put it to work immediately with your business. And I appreciate you coming, joining us for the Power Breakfast.